Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Thursday. Greetings and salutations. Thanks for being here. Glad you're along for another edition of 580 Sports Talk here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook video stream at WIBW News. However, wherever, whenever you're tuned into the program on this fine Thursday, we really appreciate you choosing us. Thanks for being a part of the audience here for 580 Sports Talk. We're here with you for the next 3 hours and change today. We got a little overtime ahead of Thursday night football tonight. The Raiders and Broncos kicking off week number 10 of the NFL season. So a game of some interest that, of course, the AFC West showdown and the Chiefs' next opponent out of their bye week, the Denver Broncos. So really, when you look at it that way, it's kind of like both teams get a bye in front of a crucial Week 11 matchup. Maybe that's harsh. Maybe the Raiders, I'm trying to say it with a straight face, and I'm really having a hard time. Maybe the Raiders have a shot tonight. They look a lot more like a real live football team with Brock Bowers out there, and he's going to play tonight. So we'll get into that a little bit later on. So that obviously is on the air tonight. Westwood One's coverage of Thursday Night Football starting week number 10 of the NFL season. That starts at 6:30, so we'll have a little overtime for you between 6 and 6:30. But in the regulation 3 hours of 580 Sports Talk, we have plenty to discuss. We're going to talk some Chiefs today. The 3 things that have to happen for the Chiefs in the second half. And these are not, I'm not adding a qualifier to, well, the Chiefs have to do this or else. Not necessarily. This is just, the Chiefs have to figure this stuff out. These are the 3 things that they have to figure out, in my opinion, how to do. And a bit of a roadmap, if I may offer one. I've won approximately 300 fewer NFL games than Andy Reid, but I have suggestions. I have thoughts on how these musts can be achieved. And I'm curious, what are your musts? What do the Chiefs have to figure out how to do better? Who to get more involved? What to execute better? What are the musts coming out of the bye next week when the regular season resumes, second half of the Chiefs regular season? I'll be looking for yours as we go along today. Also, this was a stray thought yesterday, but I'm going to expand on it. Spencer Dupuis will be in later on. I don't think I introduced myself. My name's Dan Lucero, if you're not familiar. If you are, I guess I didn't need to, but boy, I kind of took that for granted a little bit right off the rip, huh? Anyhow, my name's Dan Lucero. I'm with you for the duration today. Spencer Dupuis will be along in a bit. Brendan Dworzinski is off today. Spencer and I are going to talk in the 4 o'clock hour because we sort of brushed up against this yesterday. We were talking about some of the Week 10 matchups in the NFL. And I threw out the idle thought, has the list of teams that you think can win the Super Bowl this year, has that list gotten any bigger or has it gotten smaller? And are we being unfair to not consider some teams that are off to really impressive starts record-wise as contenders because the quality of the league is so down that it feels like it's harder to get the wins that burnish your credibility as a contender? Like, you can only play who you're scheduled to play, and there are certain teams out there that we've talked about that don't have a lot of wins over really good teams. Do you hold that against them? Can you hold it against them? You got to play who you can play, right? But we'll explore that. We'll push on that a little bit harder. Has the list of teams that feel like possible Super Bowl winners, because that's a different question, obviously, than teams that are really good. We've seen it for years and years. Teams that make the playoffs, teams even that win their division, teams even that get the number 1 overall seed. Remember that one year Tennessee started like 11-0 when Kerry Collins was their quarterback? You remember that? The Titans were perfect into the later stages of the season, and they had Kerry Collins as their quarterback. And they were objectively good. You don't win 11 games in a row to start your season by accident, or however many ended up being. But also, that team wouldn't win a Super Bowl with Kerry Collins at quarterback. Come on. So that's kind of where we're at. Where is that dividing line between teams that we can acknowledge? Yeah, they're pretty good. They got some good traits, but they're not going to go and hoist a Lombardi. They're not going to go win 3 or 4 games in January. So we'll talk about where that dividing line falls a little bit. Some NFL talk on the program today. We're going to talk some baseball on the show today. We touched on the Royals signing Salvador Perez to a 2-year contract extension yesterday. Next week, the GM meetings. So you're going to start to see some stuff maybe percolate a little bit as the offseason is underway. And everybody in the world knows it to be true that the Kansas City Royals want a bat. And they're going to have to do a little better than they did on that front last season when Jonathan India was the only bat that they really came away from the offseason having added. And not only was that not sufficient, India had the worst season of his career. So the Royals are going to have to do a little bit more than just that. And everybody in baseball knows, everybody who follows the sport, covers the game, knows the Royals want a bat. They desire a bat. J.J. Picollo hasn't made a secret of it. Royals ownership hasn't made a secret of it. They got to go get another stick. What's the best way for the Royals to accomplish that? Via trade or via free agency? We'll talk a little bit about that later on in the show. We got 2 great guests on the program today. 525, Mitch Holthus, voice of the Chiefs, will join us. Even though it's a bye week, we'll still have Mitch come on with us and talk about the Chiefs at the midway point of this season, get his information and his take on how things are faring for the Chiefs and how things look going into the second half. Mitch, of course, joins us thanks to our sponsors, Hy-Vee and Assure Credit Union. He'll join us at 525 today. And at the bottom of this hour, it's the local sports spotlight with Rick Peterson. Lots to talk about with Pistol on the local sports spotlight. Obviously, playoff football, regional games this weekend, week number 10, if you will, of the high school football season, but also a Shawnee County State Championship in volleyball, Silver Lake, a Shawnee County State Championship in cross country, Washburn Rural boys, and Washburn Rural soccer, boys soccer, playing for a state title this weekend. So plenty to talk about. That's just on the high school front. We'll get into some Washburn stuff with Pistol as well. That's coming up. Rick Peterson of TopSports.news joining us at the bottom of this 3 o'clock hour. And all the typical Thursday fun we like to have around here. We'll play some either or over under in the 5 o'clock hour. We have our 580 Sports Talk headlines. We've got a round of What Is Wrong With You and a whole lot more. Plus your interaction with the show today. That's the cherry on top of the sundae, truly. The text line is open. 785-272-9429 is the text line. 785-272-9429. Can also get at us in the live chat on our YouTube channel. Again, the name of the channel is 580 Sports Talk. Pop on in if you have never done so before. Like and subscribe if you have never subscribed to the YouTube channel before. And as the show is rolling, whether on your computer or your mobile device, pop in that live chat, say hello, introduce yourself, interact with your fellow listeners and your hosts as we go along. I see Vance in the chat today. I see Clayton in the chat today. Been a minute, Clayton. Good to see you. Clayton asking about the arm wrestling match. That's how long it's been since we've seen Clayton around these parts. Clayton, it's on our YouTube page. Should be under videos. Search for the Thrilla on Huntoon Hilla, and you can find when me and Brendan arm wrestled a couple of months back. I'm glad we did it then and not now, because I have done something to my left shoulder that is causing me a good deal of grief. I don't know if I slept on it wrong. I don't know if Asher slept on it wrong. I don't know what it is. All I know is this. It would not be such an advantage to arm wrestle Brendan left-handed right now, given the current state of my shoulder. But anyway, if you missed that or you missed anything that we've ever done on the YouTube channel, it's all still archived up there. Again, 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel. We look forward to hearing from more of you throughout the show today. All right. We're at the midway point of the Chiefs season. They're 5-4, outside of the playoff spots. We've been through all this. It's not as easy to come up with content on a bye week as it is on a game week, right? Like, y'all know this. Y'all see this. But the midway point of the season has arrived. And I've got a list of 3 things that the Chiefs absolutely must do in their final 8 games. 3 things that they must do. And I want to hear from you. What do you think is the one thing? I'm looking for one from each of you. What is the one thing the Chiefs must do in the second half? Could be schedule related, could be offense, defense related. Whatever you think is the most important thing that the Chiefs have to do. Text the show, 785-272-9429, or drop it in the YouTube comments, 580 Sports Talk. I've got 3 musts, one offensive, one defensive, and one schedule related. I'll start on the offensive side of the ball. And this is something that's been bothering me for the last couple of weeks. And it's been bothering me because, well, like many of you, I play fantasy football. I don't get super into fantasy football. I don't have hundreds of dollars riding on fantasy football. I've got one league that I play in that is a money league, and it's a fairly modest buy-in as these things go. It's a league I've been in with guys I lived with in college, and we've had this league together since the late 2000s when I was still in college. So this is a league that's been around a long time. Not that it's a big deal, but I've won it 3 times. Not that you asked or cared, but I got to toot my own horn a little bit. My team this year is just kind of whatever. We're right around the 500 mark. I had the number 1 overall pick. But unfortunately, my second pick was Lamar Jackson. And so I've been hurting a little bit at quarterback and didn't do a real good job drafting depth at running back or wide receiver, as it turned out. Some swings and misses in the draft process. I fired my scouting team, and we'll do better next year. But I got one league that I'm pretty serious about. It's a money league. I got another league. We have a league here around the office that's not a money league, and play that a little bit too. I'm not like a diehard fantasy football guy. I don't spend a lot of time like reading the starter sit articles on ESPN.com or whatever. I like to win. I'm competitive, but I'm not like hardcore into fantasy football. That's not to say that's not cool. If you are, Excelsior to you, if that's your deal. But that's my fantasy football experience. Like many of you, I play it. I'm probably about the median, maybe a little above when it comes to my level of investment in fantasy football. But I would like to win my money league. Be nice little chunk of change. I could, take my wife out for a nice dinner, buy my son some toys. I'm looking to win the money league. Problem is, I don't have a deep enough roster in my money league. And part of that problem is I drafted Xavier Worthy. And it's been a tough year for Xavier Worthy. It started, obviously, rather inauspiciously with the injury he suffered on the 3rd offensive play of the game. But it's been really slow going for the Chiefs' 2024 first-round pick, particularly since the return of Rashee Rice to the lineup. Now, obviously, you don't expect that Xavier Worthy is going to put up number 1 receiver numbers when he's not the number 1 receiver. It's still very much Rashee Rice. And I don't think it's hurt the Chiefs any that Xavier Worthy's production has slipped, because they've still been really productive on offense. But in the 3 games since Rashee Rice returned to the Chiefs lineup, Xavier Worthy has 18 targets and 11 catches. 11 catches in 3 weeks for 111 yards. That is just over 10 yards per touch. And right at 10 yards per touch on the ground, 2 carries for 20 yards. Now, I think that Worthy's ankle has probably bothered him more than anybody has let on, because I have thought when he has touched the ball in recent weeks, he tweaked the ankle. I want to say it was a Baltimore game when he tweaked the ankle a little bit, but he hasn't quite, to me, looked like he's had the same burst, the same speed, straight line speed that we've seen in evidence from Xavier Worthy since he was drafted. So hopefully the bye week gets him physically right. I don't know that he's ever been, other than before Travis Kelce dump trucked him on the crossing route on the 3rd offensive play of the regular season. I don't know that we've seen Xavier Worthy at 100%. And with the caveat that you play football for a living, you're never really 100%. Hopefully this bye week gets Xavier Worthy back to his peak physical abilities and a comfort level with the shoulder, with the ankle out there on the field. Because 111 receiving yards and 20 rushing yards over a 3-week span is not enough production from Xavier Worthy. Again, it's not that I expect him. This is not a fantasy football complaint. It's just, the reason I've noticed that he hasn't been producing. But I didn't expect, and I wouldn't expect, Worthy to have wide receiver 1 production because he's not wide receiver 1. That's Rashee Rice. I wouldn't expect Xavier Worthy to get 10 to 12 targets a game because those targets are going to go to Rashee Rice. And the way Travis Kelce has played, he's going to be the second man when it comes to target share, which leaves Worthy and Hollywood Brown and Tyquan Thornton and everybody else kind of fighting for the scraps a little bit. So I understand that the target share is not going to be astronomical. But that being said, I think you've got to do more to get Xavier Worthy with his hands on the football. He's too dynamic. He's too fast to only be touching the ball 4 times a week. If you assume that you're running in the neighborhood of 50 to 70 offensive plays a week and only 4 of them involve Xavier Worthy touching the ball, that's not enough. That's not enough for me. So I really want to see, and again, hopefully some of this is Worthy's just not all the way right. And hopefully this bye week gets him closer to physically 100%. But I need to see more Xavier Worthy. And I would like to see more of him outside of the gimmicky stuff. Like, it doesn't have to be jet sweeps and bubble screens. He showed some route running aptitude. He's not the guy you run a slant for on 3rd and 4 and, lead him into a linebacker, get his block knocked off because he's going to hold on. He's not that guy. But I think he's a better intermediate route runner and has the ability to make a difference finding room in the defensive backfield and helping to extend drives and helping to create more of those explosive plays that the Chiefs are really looking for on offense. And maybe you do have to force it a little bit. Maybe you do have to make sure that 1 or 2 of his touches a game are a jet sweep handoff or a pop pass. But I think you need to get him more involved. I think his speed element helps to further diversify this Chiefs offense. And I've been a little surprised that he has not been more involved, that the Chiefs have not made more of an effort to try to get him the ball in space and let him create a little bit. So that's my offensive must. They got to find a way. They must find a way to get Xavier Worthy more involved. On defense, this is kind of an either or here. Not either or over under. That's later in the show. This is a little bit of an either or for the Chiefs defense. They must either get a lot better in their base defense or play it less. Chiefs like to play their base defense. They trust their base defense. Base defense, again, so we're not getting too chalkboardy on you here. Base defense is 4 down linemen, 3 linebackers, 4 defensive backs. That is what is commonly referred to as a base defense. So the Chiefs base defense, you got Chris Jones and somebody else at defensive tackle, George Karlaftis and somebody else at defensive end. They tend to rotate those spots a little bit more. Karlaftis and Jones are almost always out there. All 3 of your linebackers, Nick Bolton in the middle, Leo Chenal and Drew Tranquil either side. 2 safeties, it's usually Brian Cook and either Jaden Hicks or Shamari Connor. Notable, Hicks only played 4 snaps against the Bills, which was kind of eye-opening. And then your cornerbacks, and in that scenario for the Chiefs, that's going to be Trent McDuffie one side and Jalen Watson the other side. That is the base defense. That's the base personnel for the Chiefs. And it hasn't been particularly great this year by the numbers. And particularly when teams have gone under center and put out extra tight ends or an extra offensive lineman, which is, for an offense, an invitation for the defense to keep the base defense out there. If you've got more big bodies on the field, the defense wants to match that with big bodies. You're not going to run 6 defensive backs out there against a formation with 2 tight ends or 7 wide receivers because you're just going to run into the teeth of that and bully all those small guys and gain 6, 7, 8 yards a chunk. So the under center formations that the Chiefs are seeing is an invitation to keep the base defense on the field, because ideally that's the way you best match up with a team that's running a 2 tight end set or an under center set. No defense in the NFL has been worse. No defense in the NFL has been worse than the Kansas City Chiefs defending plays under center. They have the worst defense in football when it comes to defending plays under center. So they got to get better when it comes to that. Well, how do you get better? How do you stop those successful plays, those explosive plays from happening when teams go under center? One way to do it, you got to win at the line of scrimmage. More quick wins, run stop wins, quick pressures. Chiefs have done some of that this year. George Karlaftis in particular has put up some elite pressure numbers this season and a high level of quick pressures too. The kinds of pressures that can bust the pipes of a passing play. But if you don't get those quick pressures against a pass and your base defense is on the field, that's longer than Nick Bolton and Drew Tranquill have to cover. And if we said it once, we've said it 100 times on these airwaves, that is not a strength of Nick Bolton. And it has not been a strength so far this year of Drew Tranquill. So for me, that means the Chiefs need to get more quick pressures. And like I said, they've got one guy delivering those consistently. Can they get more of them from Chris Jones? We are halfway through the season. We have seen some moments for Chris Jones, but he's not making $30 million a year to produce moments. He's being paid $30 million a year to dominate, to play like an all-pro, and he hasn't. Doesn't mean he's still not up to that challenge. It certainly has seemed like this year his best games have been some of the biggest ones for the Chiefs. Like, he was unbelievable against the Lions. Like, that's the guy, when you think of dominant Chris Jones, you go back, you watch his tape against the Lions. But the Chiefs haven't gotten that version of Chris Jones consistently over the first 9 games. They have got to get that version of Chris Jones down the stretch, because you need more of those immediate wins up front. Otherwise, teams are going to be content to take their 4, 5, 6 yards on the ground, and teams will be content to line up under center, run some play action, and just dice up the defense with passes to the running backs and the tight ends. So that's another must for the Chiefs. I guess it started in one place and it kind of ended in another, but the Chiefs must start generating more quick wins one-on-one at the line of scrimmage. And the last must, this is the schedule must for the Chiefs. They must sweep the Denver Broncos. They play the Broncos 2 more times. They're in Denver 2 Sundays from today. And then the Broncos come to Arrowhead on Christmas Day. We know the numbers over the years. The Chiefs have had the upper hand against the Broncos in decisive fashion. Broncos have taken 2 of the last 4 meetings, although one of those was the Carson Wentz start last year, and it doesn't really count, so you can toss it. Other than that, their win 2 years ago when Patrick Mahomes was sick, that's the only win over Mahomes that the Broncos have. I said on yesterday's show, I'm firm in my conviction. I think Kansas City's a better team than Denver, but this does bear noting. We're going to talk later on about teams that are real contenders, and how do you contend? How do you win big in the NFL? Elite talent wins big in the NFL. How do you determine who's an elite talent? Usually those are the guys who end up making Pro Bowls. Bill Barnwell of ESPN.com put out today on his social media who he would vote for All-Pro at the halfway point of the season. And he had 2 Chiefs on his list, including the most important player, Patrick Mahomes, first-team All-Pro quarterback. He also had Trent McDuffie, first-team All-Pro at corner. So 2 All-Pros at the midway point for the Chiefs. Again, this is just one guy's opinion, but I happen to think Bill Barnwell knows ball. That's why I cite him as often as I do. 2 first-team Pro Bowlers, 2 total All-Pros, I should say, for the Chiefs at the midway point. You know how many Broncos Bill Barnwell had on his halfway mark All-Pro list? 7. 7. Now, one of them's not going to play in 2 weeks because Patrick Surtain's on IR. But Zach Allen was on his list, and Nick Bonito was on his list, and Talanoa Hufanga, who looks like he's got some good football left in his tank, was on his list. Garrett Bowles, the much maligned left tackle for the Broncos, having a great year. He was on his list. Quinn Miners, first team All-Pro at guard on Barnwell's list. And Marvin Mims is a return man, second team halfway mark All-Pro. So my long-term belief in the Broncos is that they are a good but not great team. But you can't take wins in these games for granted. That being said, the Chiefs will be favored going to Denver in 2 weeks. They will. They will be favored. They will be a Vegas favorite. They already are. Some books have posted the game already, and the Chiefs are 2.5-point favorites. And they'll be favored, barring something strange, on Christmas Day at Arrowhead. So those are the games the Chiefs have to win. You don't win either of those games, forget about the division. You're going on the road for the playoffs. Forget about a bye. And that already, you lose both of those games, you're looking at kind of having to be just about perfect the rest of the way, because I don't think 9-8 is making the playoffs. 10-7 is. Chiefs can go 10-7, make the playoffs, and then nobody's going to want to play them. They're going to be a division winner thinking, oh, man, why do we have to draw them? But the things that you want to accomplish are a lot easier when you do play at home for at least the first round, and if you can snag that bye, which is still not out of the question for the Chiefs. But they've got to sweep Denver. They have to. I think they're going to beat the Chargers second time they play. The Raiders in Week 18, if they try in that game, they'll win. By which I mean if they are in a position where they have to play their starters for whatever reason. We know they're better than the Raiders. They got to go be better than the Broncos twice. And that'll be a cranked-up crowd in Denver in 2 weeks. I still think the Chiefs are going to win that game, but I think they must. So those are my musts for the Chiefs in the second half of the season. Must find a way to get Xavier Worthy more involved. Must get more quick pressures from up front. Must sweep the Denver Broncos. What are your musts for the Chiefs in the second half of the season? 785-272-9429 is the number. You can also drop them in the YouTube comments as well. 580 Sports Talk in the YouTube live chat. When we come back, another thought about the Broncos, because they play tonight. So they get the long week of rest, and if they do to the Raiders what the Chiefs did to the Raiders a couple years back, they might get a long week plus an extra half of rest tonight. One reason why that may not be the case and why the Broncos could bump their heads tonight. We'll talk about that next. We're just getting started on this edition of 580 Sports Talk. 337 on 580 Sports Talk. And make this a quick one because we want to get to Rick Peterson of TopSports.news for the local sports spotlight. But we got Thursday Night Football tonight, Raiders and Broncos, to open up week number 10. The Raiders looked sort of functional in week 1 and then didn't look functional for a large part of the season. And then they looked functional again, even though they lost to the Jaguars in overtime in week 9. And the difference between all the times they looked functional, all the times they did not, was that Brock Bowers played. So if the Raiders can find some functionality in their offense with the best tight end maybe in the game right now, healthy, maybe they can shake up a Bronco defense that is missing Patrick Surtain. More likely, Denver just grinds this one out and runs it down Las Vegas's throat for 60 minutes. But I don't know that you can ever really root for the Raiders if you're a Chiefs fan, but you might root for the Raiders tonight. If the Raiders win tonight, obviously it helps in the AFC West race, but might plunge the Broncos into a bit of a crisis ahead of their meeting with the Chiefs in Week 11. Rick Peterson joins us next. I told you this would be a quick one on 580 Sports Talk for the local sports spotlight. That's next. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by Rick Peterson of TopSports.news for the local sports spotlight. Pistol joins us every Thursday at this time to talk Shawnee County High School sports and Washburn Ichabod athletics. Again, make TopSports.news part of your daily reading habits. Lots of things to talk about today, Pistol, but we'll go ahead and we'll start on the gridiron with a look ahead to the area playoff action in week number 10, the regional round. There's not much of it. 4 county teams still remain. We'll keep it in the capital to start. Hayden, as expected, routine win over Columbus in round 1. Does it seem to you that this Hayden team maybe is getting to that sort of championship level 5th gear at this time of the season?
I think they've been really, really good all year. And I know Coach Arnold is probably staying in their ear to take that next step and, take a step that's going to maybe get you a championship. And, they're facing a Wellsville team that's been good, and they've had some real tough games with Wellsville. But I think Hayden is just rolling right now.
Washburn Rural also onto the regionals in Class 6A. They shut out Wichita South 37-0 last Friday. They have a much taller task against a City League opponent this Friday. They'll head down the Turnpike to take on Wichita Northwest. And Steve Bueller's crew will be challenged, but I got to believe that defense will be motivated and fired up coming off of that shutout.
Yes, yeah, they will, and they played very well. This is a tough one. And, Wichita Northwest has been really good all year. And, the key for rural is to, especially when you're on the road and maybe the underdog, is to get off to a good start and just, stay in it and give yourself a chance to pull off the upset in the fourth quarter.
Talking to Rick Peterson of TopSports.news. This is the local sports spotlight here on 580 Sports Talk. Silver Lake and Rossville still alive as well. Silver Lake heads up to Sabetha for a marquee 2A regional matchup. How do you make this one, Pistol? I sure think this is going to be more of a low-scoring affair than a high-scoring affair. Both of these defenses appear to be outstanding.
Yes, it probably will be, and it probably will come down to whoever can move the ball the most. Silver Lake's got a freshman quarterback, but he doesn't play like a freshman quarterback. They got one of the best wide receivers in the state in Dane Johnson, and I think they can certainly play with him. It should be a benefit playing at home for the Eagles on C.J. Hamilton Field, and I think this is a game that could go down to the wire.
Meanwhile, our 580 Preps game of the week this Friday night will take us to Rossville. Class 1A action as Rossville welcomes in Jefferson County North. Pistol, we've seen championship caliber teams come out of Rossville in recent years. Derek Hamas has won 5 state championships, 3 in a row in 3A, 14 through 16, 2 in a row in 2A just a few years back. What traits does this team have that give it the feel that it could make a similar run?
Versatility and really good defense. On offense, you got Mitchell, the quarterback, that's a good runner and a passer. He's got 2 great receivers in Cameron Miller and Jack Donovan. Connor Bush is a great runner. And then defensively, Andre Johnson kind of leads that unit, and they're just really, really good. I think this will be kind of a test for them. And then it gets really tough in a hurry.
Rick Peterson is our guest. This is the local sports spotlight here on 580 Sports Talk. Let's turn now to the sports that have wrapped up their seasons and some state gold coming back to Shawnee County. We'll start in volleyball. Silver Lake goes 46-1 and wins the 10th volleyball state championship in school history this season. And a team that just really hit the gas and never stopped, Pistol. That was a remarkable year for that Silver Lake team. They were very highly touted coming into the season, and they lived up to the expectations and then some and brought home the gold and going to hang a banner in a place where they only hang banners for state championships.
Yeah, and 37 straight to end the season. That's pretty impressive. And their one loss was to a 5A opponent. And I think that's one of the things that does make Sarah Johnson's team good is they're not scared to risk taking some losses along the way by playing really tough competition. But this year, only one of those teams got them, and that was Shawnee Heights. And then they beat a good Manhattan team. I saw that happen. And then they just got on a run and never stopped.
Hayden lost the final to Andale in the 4A volleyball championship, but one to grow on for a really strong young core of Hayden players. This feels like the start, or really the continuation when you consider their tradition, a kind of a continuation of a run that we can expect to keep rolling along for Hayden volleyball.
Yeah, they some of their best players, Blakely Walder, Haley Smith line right at the top are sophomores. So they're going to be good for a while yet. And they lose some good seniors, notably Ella Foster and Reed. I would expect them to be number one ranked going into the season next year.
Our guest is Rick Peterson of TopSports.news. This is the local sports spotlight. We do it every Thursday at this time on 580 Sports Talk, talking all things Shawnee County High School sports and Washburn-Ichabod athletics. Also a state champion from the weekend, Washburn Rural Boys Cross Country. We talked about this last week in a bit of a lead up to the event, that felt like it was such a deep class 6A that the champion could really have been anybody. And that kind of bore itself out as Rural's winning margin in terms of team points was just 1 point, but they did it without a state medalist. Nobody finished in the top 20, Pistol. That is remarkable to consider. I don't know that that's happened probably too often in the history of one of those events, that a team could finish nobody in the top 20. There was no leader of the pack, but the pack was stronger than the rest.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. That I don't know that I remember that happen either, Dan. But I love teams that run in packs, and they were like right in that 20. Henry Laubach was 22nd. Then they just had that pack right there, 4 right together, and got the 5th guy to get that win. And you think about 1 point. I mean, some guy passes you at the very end, you don't get the title. So, I mean, everything, they had to just run their hearts out all the way to get that slimmest of margins.
A fabulous season for Washburn Rural Cross Country, and congratulations again to them on their state championship. And speaking of a state championship opportunity, Washburn Rural, their boys team's going to play for a state title. They won their semifinal match last night. They will play for it all in Class 6A against Shawnee Mission East, the same team that beat them in the state semifinals on their way to the 2024 boys soccer state championship in 6A. Washburn Rural's girls finally broke through in the spring. Do you think that has maybe contributed to some of the belief among the Washburn Rural boys that this could be the year that they break back through and bring home a state title again?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that there's that bragging rights thing. You don't want to let the girls do something you aren't going to do.
Sure,
but they're just been. I think they've been building to this year for a while. They got 12 seniors, very good seniors. Dylan Willingham's just unbelievable, and I think that they last night was really big for them because they avenged a loss from the third game of the season when they let a 2-0 lead get away and a 3-2 double overtime loss. And I think that's been stoking their fires ever since then, and they got a chance to do something about it last night.
Rick Peterson joining us here on the local sports spotlight on 580 Sports Talk. Let's finally pivot to some Washburn-Ichabod athletics. I was down in Lakeland, Florida to see the Ichabod men's basketball team open up the 2025-26 season, and boy, did they do it in style. A 48-point win over Augusta in their opener, and then a double-digit win over the third-ranked team in the country, Dallas Baptist, on Sunday. I think we all expected, Pistol, that Brett Ballard's team would be good. I guess what surprised me is how fast, against a really good team in Game 2, in particular Dallas Baptist, that it feels like things have fit together, considering some of the new pieces and some of the new starters this year.
Well, one thing that Washburn does that I don't know how many Division II teams do this, their guys come in over the summer. They play against each other in pickup games. They get to know each other. They get that little team unity going. And I think that's why they can be successful early, because there's not that many growing pains for them. And these are all experienced guys they brought in. So, they've been successful at other programs, kind of like Jacob Hanna last year. And they just hit the ground running. And, hey, Dylan Clausen's got a chance, only a sophomore, to be one to be, in my opinion, an All-American this year.
Yeah, I would second that notion. 23-12 in the opener, and then 22-13 in game 2, I think. And neither of those teams could really do much with him. It's rare that you lose a guy, a 4-year starter, a pillar of your program like Andrew Orr, and feel like you're not going to miss a beat at such an important position like center. But Washburn doesn't feel like they're going to miss a beat with Dylan Clausen there in the middle.
No, he's amazing. Talked to him yesterday. Great kid. Feels just really good to be kind of taking over a little bit of that leadership role. And like I said, he is a stud.
Well, we'll look forward to reading all of your coverage of the Washburn Ichabods plus high school sports for the weekend and beyond at TopSports.news. That should be a daily part of your internet browsing habits if you are a sports fan here in Shawnee County. Rick Peterson's the man who knows it and talks about it with us here on the local sports spotlight on 580 Sports Talk. Pistol, it is always a pleasure. We will look forward to doing it again next time.
Look forward to it.
That is Rick Peterson. We will take a time out, come back, and wrap up this 3 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk after this. .355 on 580 Sports Talk. Thanks for joining us. Thanks again to Rick Peterson for joining us as well for the local sports spotlight. Check us out on YouTube. 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel. Got my guy Clayton in the comments narrating my my movements, and I have to say, Clayton, if it looks like I'm in a bit of a shambles every time I look at my phone right now, I am. Not like a life-threatening shambles or a serious shambles. Screw it. We only got like 2 minutes in this segment. I can talk about it. The Colorado Rockies are hiring Paul DePodesta as their head of baseball operations. That is being widely reported, including by Jeff Passan of ESPN. Paul DePodesta has been working the last 10 years as the chief strategy officer of the Cleveland Browns. That's right. My favorite baseball team looked at the Cleveland Browns and said, let's go get the guy in charge over there. He's doing a bang-up job. If you know DePodesta's name, aside from the Browns, it's because he was a main character, one of the main characters in the Michael Lewis book Moneyball. He was the chief assistant, kind of the right-hand man to Billy Beane that helped build those Oakland A's teams in the 2000s. You'll recall, if you've seen the movie, the character that was played by Jonah Hill was heavily based on Paul DePodesta, but a bit of an amalgamation of characters, a composite character, if you will. Anyway, so DePodesta's got baseball background. He was the general manager of the Dodgers, where he presided over their only losing season of this century. Also went to work for the Mets and Padres, and they didn't do any winning while he was there either. Now he's going to run the Rockies. It's so stupid. Man, why did I have to be born? I wasn't even born. Why did I have to move when I was a small child? Why did I have to grow up in a city where one day the single worst run professional sports franchise would exist? And why would I, as a 6 and 7 year old, have had to give my heart to them and decide that they were my team for life? Why did I do that? Why did I do that? Why did I make such a bad decision? Why did my parents move me to Colorado? Why couldn't I have grown up in Los Angeles? Why couldn't I be a Dodger fan? Why couldn't I have happiness in my life in the summer? So yeah, if that's why it looks like I'm looking down at my phone and grimacing, that's why. Just a tip there. Coming up at the 4 o'clock hour, we're talking football, and we'll talk some Royals too on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk, hour number 2 on this Thursday afternoon. So glad you're with us on the sports voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you for the next 2 hours. We got some overtime coming between 6 and 6:30 as well. We've got Westwood One's coverage of Thursday night football to bring you tonight, the Broncos and the Raiders. I'm going to keep it a buck with you guys. I'm probably not going to watch any of that football game. I don't like watching bad football. I don't like watching bad pro football. Bad college football is frequently hilarious. Bad pro football is just sad. Bad pro football just is not worth the worth the juice to squeeze. And Thursday night football games tend to be tend towards not very good most of the time anyhow. So I'm not going to hustle to the television to watch this one. If I get my kiddo to bed early enough and my wife falls asleep early, maybe I'll check it out. But this is not one I'm going to say, hey, could you hold all my calls? The Broncos and the Raiders are on. It's not one of those for me. You going to watch tonight, Spence?
I might, only because there's not a lot going on tonight.
This is true.
And currently still YouTube TV and Disney are still engaged in a battle, so I can't laugh at the situations that are put into place on ABC's 911 franchises.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're out of that, too. That's tough.
Well, no, I'm out of that live.
Sure.
We just caught up with last week's on the Hulu.
Okay.
That I get for free with my Spotify from when I was in college.
Oh,
which is
wow.
probably going away soon.
Oh, no.
Because the Hulu is going to fall into the Disney Plus app. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not, no.
Yeah, so there's only instead of having 3 apps, they're going to have 2 apps, one for the sports and one for everything else.
I can't keep up, man. They keep putting stuff on my Roku that I didn't even download. Stuff I never heard of. Stuff that and have you heard that Vubo is now Pootie? And I'm like, what are those things?
I've also come to find out that I don't know if I should say this on the radio. There's an app on my Fire Stick, and apparently Fire Stick is no longer allowing said app to be on my Fire Stick.
Is it the one that gave you an ample media library from other sources?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, we've heard about that one. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I saw a video on TikTok yesterday that said, do not download the new Fire Stick update. Well, mine is on auto update. So
it's tough.
I think it downloaded it because it sits on, it sits in the background on my current TV. So
sure.
Yeah, I think it downloaded that. So now I think
that's tough.
Yep.
RIP in peace. Anyhow, we got that football game coming up later tonight. You want to catch it. It's on Westwood One. Radio production is always really good from Westwood One. So.
I love their voices, all their play-by-play voices.
Yeah,
good.
Yeah, really good stuff. So
when I used to, have more responsibilities as a sports director, my last job, I loved putting in the promos because I loved hearing the guys' voices, and I loved the music. Dun 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 dun.
Yep.
Westwood One's coverage of Thursday night football.
Yeah,
this is my favorite.
Good stuff. Anyway. That's coming up tonight, 6:30 pregame, and the kickoff at 7:15 or whatever. Here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. Anyhow, we're going to talk some football this hour. We got some football to get to. We're going to talk about who can win the Super Bowl. Has that list of teams, the teams that you believe can win the Super Bowl, has that gotten bigger or has that gotten smaller since the season began? We sort of brought up the subject yesterday, but didn't really have the room to flesh it out. And today we have the room to flesh it out. So we're going to talk a little bit about it. And I'm curious as to your thoughts as well, you listeners. Who do you think can win the Super Bowl? Which teams do you think? How big is your bucket? You got to fill your bucket with teams that can win the Lombardi Trophy. So think about it this way. If you were betting and on one side there were your teams and on the other side there was the field, how small would you be willing to make your bucket? How small would you be willing to make the group of teams you have against the field? Because, realistically, there are going to be 14 playoff teams, and Any given Sunday, right? They can all win the Super Bowl, but we know that's not actually true. There's not actually 14 teams that can win the Super Bowl. It's a much smaller group than that. How small is your group? How small can you make your group? We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Also going to talk some baseball. The Royals have a very clear offseason strategy. They need a bat. Who are they going to go get? How should they go about doing it? Can they afford to trade starting pitching to go get a bat like they did last year? Hopefully, if they did it this year, they'd have a better outcome than ending up with the worst year of Jonathan India's career. But what should be the strategy for the Royals this offseason to go and acquire the added offense that they need? We'll get into that later on this hour. We got 2 new stories on what is wrong with you to get to as well. Check us out on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk, the name of the channel. You can also text the program, 785-272-9429, and hop in that live chat on YouTube if you're in there as well. Let's get into this discussion. It's something I've been thinking about as far as this NFL season. And I asked the question, just kind of floated it out there, and we didn't really have the space. It was the 5 o'clock hour. We didn't really have the space to really explore an answer to this question. But going into the season, I didn't have a huge list of teams that I thought could win the Super Bowl. And I don't know that I've added to that list to this point in the season. And things can always change. Teams can always prove themselves further as the season goes on. But right now, my list is still Kansas City and Buffalo, Philadelphia, the Rams, the Lions, and if they get hot and healthy, the Ravens. Like, those to me are the 6 teams where I don't have to squint to see them hoisting the Lombardi Trophy. Because in the end, to simplify it, it comes down to 2 things. Teams that win a Super Bowl usually have these 2 things. Number one, you have elite talent. Not like, oh, no, it's nice to say, we don't have any weaknesses. Every team's got a weakness. That's the nature of the salary cap. Elite talent is what carries you through. All pros, Pro Bowlers, top guys at their positions, elite talent. No doubt elite talent. And the second thing you need is the quarterback that can go and win you the big game. And if the answer to that question, if the questions are, do you have elite talent and do you have the quarterback that can go win a big game? If the answer to B is no, does it matter what the answer to question A is? Is there ever enough elite talent that can overcome playing a team for whom the answer to B is yes when January and February rolls around? I think the perfect example of this has been the San Francisco teams that have been to Super Bowls under Kyle Shanahan, because those teams have been loaded with Pro Bowl talent, all-pro talent, future Hall of Fame talent, Christian McCaffrey, Fred Warner, George Kittle, Trent Williams. Not quite on this level. Like, I don't think Deebo Samuel's a future Hall of Famer. Prime Deebo Samuel was special. And prime Dre Greenlaw was special. And the Brandon Ayuk was obviously great on that second team. Like, Nick Bosa, another one. Like, those kinds of talent. The 49ers were oozing with elite talent when they played the Chiefs in Super Bowl 54 and in Super Bowl 58. But their quarterbacks were Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy. And the Chiefs quarterback was Patrick Mahomes. And in the end, that was the difference. The 49ers had a lead. It disappeared because Patrick Mahomes was on the other sideline, and they couldn't go get it back because they had Jimmy Garoppolo. And when it came to overtime, Patrick Mahomes could make the plays to extend drives and go score a touchdown in the overtime in Super Bowl 58 that Brock Purdy could not. So that's sort of where I come to on this, that it's great to have elite talent could even get you to a Super Bowl. But if you bump into Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or Matthew Stafford or Lamar Jackson in a scenario like that, and you don't have a quarterback that's better than that guy, you're probably not winning that game when it comes to January and February. So to go back to what I was saying earlier about the Broncos, because I think Denver is they're a 7-2 football team. They're all but certainly going to make the playoffs. And I mentioned this in the 3:00 hour. I don't know if you saw this earlier today, Spencer. Did you see Bill Barnwell's mid-season Pro Bowl or All-Pro list?
I did not know.
Yeah, he put it on social media. Bill Barnwell of ESPN.com put out his list of guys that he would vote for All-Pro at the halfway point of this season. And between his first and second team, he had 7 Denver Broncos. 7. Give you an idea, there's if you count the returner, kicker, punter, 22, 25, 26, or 52, like 54 spots if you put an extra linebacker or defensive line. So 50-odd players, 7 of them. So you're talking about 10%, more than 10 to 15% of them were Broncos. Now, only 2 of them were first team. Quinn Miners on the offensive line, Patrick Surtain at defensive back. But 7 all-pro caliber players this season for the Denver Broncos. That is, by anybody's definition, elite talent. Is Bo Nix going to go win you a game in January? That's the big question. And I will believe the answer is no until I see proof otherwise, because we saw a Denver team with a very good defense. And frankly, most of these same guys playing at a high level, most of these same players, Miners and Surtain and Zach Allen, like all of these guys who were playing at a high level again for the Broncos this year, they were all on that team last season. And they got to the playoffs and they went to Buffalo. And when Buffalo got out to a lead, that was the ball game. Because Bo Nix wasn't bringing those kinds of blows and go win a game in the postseason in a winner-take-all scenario. I don't believe Denver has that quarterback. I sort of put Seattle in the same boat as Denver, another 6-2 football team, and undeniably excellent on defense. I think Seattle, this feels blasphemous for me to say, but I think their front four right now, their defensive line rotation, their pass rusher group, I think it's every bit as good or better than the group with the Super Bowl teams in the mid-2010s with the Seahawks. Now, they don't have Richard Sherman, Earl Thomas, Cam Chancellor back in the secondary, but they've got good players in the secondary. They have Devin Witherspoon. They have Nicky Manwari. They have Julian Love. Josh Jobs had a breakout year. Like, they are outstanding on defense. And Sam Darnold is playing as well as any quarterback in the NFL this year. Can he do it when the lights are bright? That is a fair question to ask. It's not a question of his talent. I think that all things being equal, Darnold is probably more talented than Nix. Would you dispute that? Would you, like, if you were taking one of those two guys to be your quarterback in a value neutral scenario, like just you got one of those guys, not right now, not for like the next 5 years. I mean, right now, right this second, which of those guys it's Darnold, right?
Yeah, because Darnold had to find himself to get to this point, and kudos to him for doing that. And it would be right now, it'd be Sam Darnold.
Okay. So I feel the same way, but also saw what it looked like last year in the playoffs, where he got real skittish when a playoff caliber pass rush started bearing down on him. When the stakes got high, he wasn't able to go and make those plays and go win that game. Now, it doesn't mean he can't, but it means that I think you're fair to be skeptical. The Patriots are a team kind of on the flip side of Seattle and Denver, where Seattle and Denver, I think, have elite talent, but may not have the quarterback. I think Patriots have the quarterback. Drake May is leveling up in a major way this year. It looks like he could be the next star in the AFC. Do they have enough elite talent is the question, and I don't think they do. I don't think they're there yet. May is arriving. Now they got to start surrounding him with those elite guys all over the field, which gets harder to do the more football games you win. But I don't think they're all the way there yet. The Colts are a team probably similar to Denver and Seattle. They have elite guys, Jonathan Taylor, Quentin Nelson on the offensive line, Sauce Gardner, who they just got. But is Daniel Jones, like Bo Nix and Sam Darnold, is that the guy that's going to go and win you a big game. I will say this. Daniel Jones has done something Sam Darnold and Bo Nix have not, and that is win a playoff game. But it's only one, right? And on the flip side of that, like, you know that Josh Allen can win a playoff game. You know that at a minimum, Jalen Hurts is not going to screw the big game up for you, because he was brilliant in the Super Bowl 55 loss. He wasn't great in Super Bowl 59, but he didn't screw the game up. He managed the game and let the defense do what they had to do. So at a minimum, I think you can say Jalen Hurts isn't going to shy away from the big game, not going to shy away from the big moment. At a minimum, he's not going to screw the big game up for you, and they have plenty of elite talent. The Rams and the Lions are on this list. Stafford's got a ring. Goff's been to a Super Bowl and a NFC Championship game with different teams. I think we disrespect Jared Goff at our own risk a little bit. I think he's well short of the Allen Mahomes class of quarterbacks. Mahomes Allen class quarterback. Let's be realistic. Let's put Mahomes ahead of Allen where he belongs. The Mahomes Allen class quarterback. But Goff is, I think, comfortably in that second tier of guys, and plenty of elite talent for the Lions as well. And Baltimore, to me, they've got some digging to do. There's no guarantee they're going to make the playoffs. They feel worse in their standing right now than the Chiefs do in theirs. But I still think with Lamar Jackson, they're dangerous if they make the field.
Even if they had a better record, I don't feel as though they're a team that can win the Super Bowl. If we're talking about teams that could win the Super Bowl, they haven't showed me they could even get there. Every time the playoffs come, something happens to Lamar, or Lamar's not effective. So even if they had a better record, they were leading the division, they wouldn't be a team for me that could win the Super Bowl. They would be a playoff lock.
I think I understand that criticism, and I wonder how we would feel if Mark Andrews had just caught the ball in the end zone against the Bills last year. Like, we're holding some early poor playoff appearances by Lamar against him, which they were undeniably poor. But if Mark Andrews catches that 2-point conversion and the Ravens beat the Bills last year, then what are we saying? Are we being as critical, I guess, is my question. Because the last time we saw him in the playoffs, good enough to win, and Mark Andrews kind of betrayed him there.
Well, I mean, look, it's just one thing or another. The team just doesn't win.
And that's true. If you want to make it a broader blanket criticism of the Ravens, I think that is entirely
like
fair.
Something they get in the playoffs and something just doesn't click. The stuff that was working for them in the season doesn't happen. The players take an extra step in the wrong direction when it comes to trying to catch a ball. Like, it's just little things. Like, I know a few Ravens fans who would say something like this.
No,
like they can't win in the big times in the playoffs.
I think that's, like, again, I think that's a valid criticism. I think it's a valid criticism of the Ravens. I think the talent level is there. Oh
yes, talent level there, but
I'm pro Lamar. Like, I think in the end, you give the talent and a player like that enough chances to break through. Eventually, they're going to find their way through to a breakthrough win or two. But yeah, it certainly hasn't happened yet for the Ravens. But they're on my list. Kansas City and Buffalo are on my list. Philadelphia, the Rams, and the Lions, and that's it. Like, that's where the list sort of stops for me. Green Bay, I can't get there with Green Bay because Jordan Love to me is too inconsistent. Again, team with elite talent, absolutely. Will the real Jordan Love please stand up? Because there are moments where he looks absolutely positively like one of the, no doubt about it, 5 best quarterbacks in the league. And there are times where I wonder if he's ever played the sport. Like, that's where I come down with Jordan Love. Like, I like him. I think he's good, not a bum, but is he a guy that I can trust is going to give me consistency? Because it goes beyond, can you win a game? You got to win 3, 4 max in January. Do I think for a full month I'm going to get the best of Jordan Love? And that is where I'm a shrug of my shoulders right now on that. Maybe. Not ruling it out, but I can't get there with him yet until I see it. So that's why the Packers are not quite on my list. Maybe they're probably the toughest omission from my group. Like, again, we're just trying to put together, like, these guys, and I'll give you the field. And I'll take Kansas City, Buffalo, Philly, Baltimore, the Rams, and the Lions. You can have everybody else. And Green Bay is the toughest cut off that list for me. If I had to rank the teams in that second tier beyond that, I'd probably go Green Bay. There's going to be a homer if I put Seattle ahead of the Colts. Just because Darnold's playing super well, man. Like, I'm still staked out on my corner here with regard to Sam Darnold, but that man is balling out. And he's got a true number 1 wide receiver, and they just gave him a true number 2 wide receiver, and the defense is making me feel some feelings that I haven't felt in a long time.
The problem is where are they going to, like, come in the playoff race? That's where, when things are all said and done in the regular season, to me, that may be, can they get it done on the road in an atmosphere where they have to travel to, I don't know, say Lincoln Financial Field in January?
That's a great point, and I think you can say the same for like Indianapolis with Jones or Denver with Knicks, where I was just talking about Love. Can you do it 4 times? Maybe those quarterbacks can do it 3 times. Can you do it 4?
Yeah.
And can you do it multiple times away from home in hostile environments? Yeah, that's where it gets really, really hard. Like, only the best of the best are going to do that. Typically, the best of the best put their teams in situations where they don't have to play 4 playoff games, which is what makes the potential road for the Chiefs this year a little more daunting, but again, not impossible because they've got Patrick Mahomes. And nobody else has one of those. We'll take a break here on 580 Sports Talk. We're going to come back, play a little What Is Wrong With You next here on the program. It is What Is Wrong With You time on 580 Sports Talk. 2 new stories competing today. Try to take down our current weekly champion. We're sorry you're dead. Maine Health in Maine issued over 500 letters to customers apologizing for the circumstances of their untimely demise and then informing their loved ones what they could do about settling up their medical debts. They pronounced over 500 people dead who were not in any way, shape, or form dead or even dying or particularly close to death. So, yeah, over 500 people get an email. Hey, sorry to hear you've kicked the bucket. Here's what you can do next. Excuse me? It cracks me up. Anyhow, that's our current winner. We had a story I submitted, and I got to it before Spencer could get to it and throw it into the show notes today.
Well. You didn't send out the show notes like you usually do the night before.
Yeah.
And I had that story ready at 7:30 last night.
Okay. Well, look, it doesn't matter who gets the credit. The story is the story.
Yes.
We'll start. That makes it a strong favorite today. We'll just go ahead and say that. We go to Florida, where a man pulled a knife on somebody at a Publix in Miami because he was taking too long in the bathroom. 72-year-old, excuse me. That makes a big difference. It's funnier it's a 72-year-old than a 17-year-old. 72-year-old Alfredo Brindis really had to go. Nature was calling, and a victim was using the stall in the men's room just after 9 a.m. at the Publix when Brindis entered the restroom frantically and began to bang on the stall door, demanding he come out. The victim leaving the stall came face-to-face with Brindis, who was yelling at him to hurry and move. The victim stated he could not exit the stall because Brindis was blocking his way, and he told him to get out of the way and presented a knife and waved it in front of the victim, telling him to move. The victim stated he tried to cut him with the knife and that he used his large book bag to defend himself. The victim then went to a Miami police officer working a security detail at the store. According to the report, the officer entered the bathroom and saw Brindis with a knife in his hand and ordered him to drop it. Brindis told the officer that he really needed to use the restroom. Then the victim didn't move out of his way, so he took out a knife. I mean, yeah, that is what happened. No sugarcoating that story. He was arrested and charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Listen, if I'm at the stage where I so urgently have to go that I'm like demanding the person get out of the stall, I don't have time to think about A, whether I have a knife on me, B, wave the knife at the guy. Like, I'm just like, okay, you're out. Good. You might want to get all the way out. You may want to leave the premises if it's that urgent for me. But he apparently had enough willpower to stave off the call of nature to continue to wave the knife at the gentleman. Anyhow, that is our first story today. Spencer, what do you have?
Yeah, we're going to our favorite state, Florida. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit has rejected a Florida man's claim that the government owes him 3,443 Bitcoin, worth more than 345 million U.S. dollars, after law enforcement destroyed a hard drive allegedly containing his private keys. In the case of the United States versus Michael Prime, is about a convicted counterfeiter who denied owning Bitcoin for years, only to later insist he was a millionaire when it was too late. A private key in the Bitcoin life is a secret password that you unlock and spend your crypto. If you lose it, you lose access to your coins forever. There's no way to reset or recover them. Michael Prime was arrested in 2019 on charges of counterfeiting, identity theft, and illegal firearm possession when police entered his home in Hillsborough County, Florida. They found what the court called piles of evidence. Investigators seized a trove of electronic devices containing stolen financial data, evidence of online sales of counterfeit goods. Prime admitted to producing fake IDs, selling untraceable firearms, and receiving Bitcoin payments for his work. At one point, he told agents he held approximately 3,500 Bitcoin, which he said he earned or mined years earlier. However, federal investigators weren't able to find any crypto during the multiple searches, reporting that no cryptocurrency private keys or recovery seeds were found. He pled guilty in 2019 to access device fraud and other charges, agreeing to fully disclose all assets he controlled. But in the series of official disclosures that followed, he downplayed his Bitcoin holdings. In February 2020, he filed a financial statement reporting only owning $200 to $1,500 in Bitcoin, then the probation office that 1,500 in Bitcoin was his only remaining asset. His own lawyer later told the sentencing court that earlier claim to large Bitcoin holdings was not supported by evidence, adding that the coins don't exist other than what Prime had from his mining days back in Seattle 10 years ago. He was sentenced to 65 months in prison and released to a halfway house in 2022. Once free, he asked the government to return his seized electronics. The Secret Service notified him that some devices could be wiped and returned if he provided passwords, but he instead filed a lawsuit, initially saying his motion mentioned boats and cars, but not Bitcoin on any hard drive. Only later did he claim that an orange external hard drive contained the cryptographic keys to 3,443 Bitcoins. By that time, the device, like others seized in the government investigation, had been destroyed. He then sued the U.S. government, demanding the Bitcoin's full value, arguing the destruction deprived him of access to his digital fortune.
So, he said, I don't really have that much Bitcoin. And then he said, actually, I have a lot of Bitcoin, $100 million worth of Bitcoin. Break me out hundreds of millions of dollars.
Can I get my stuff back?
Yeah.
I just want my stuff back.
Break me off. I think our knife guy wins today. It's obviously a much funnier story, but I don't think it beats "We're sorry you're dead," just because of the organizational malpractice, the dysfunction that had to have occurred for somebody to press the button and send over 500 people the same email about being dead. People who, again, I want to reiterate for the record, weren't dead. And also imagining the horror of receiving an email that said you were dead. That would mess with me. I think I'd probably walk around for a couple of days kind of in the upside down. So We're Sorry You're Dead is going to continue as our winner on What Is Wrong With You. When we come back, the Royals have an offseason strategy that everybody kind of knows, but how are they going to pursue the offense that they need? We'll get into a little hot stove when we come back on 580 Sports Talk. 442 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan and Spencer with you. Hey, warm up your winter with your friends at 580 WIBW. No one should face winter without heat. 580 WIBW and DeBackers Heating and Air want to help. Nominate someone in need to win a new furnace at 580WIBW.com. You can even upload a photo. Keep someone warm this winter. Nominate them today, thanks to DeBackers Heating and Air of Topeka. Again, that is the Warm Up Your Winter sweepstakes. You can go to 580WIBW.com. There is a link to enter on the left side of the front page. Warm Up Your Winter, powered by DeBackers Inc. And you can nominate someone deserving to win a new furnace and warm up their winter. 580WIBW.com. The Kansas City Royals need a bat. Everybody knows it. One of the worst kept secrets going into this Major League Baseball offseason. That the Royals need a bat. They're going to pursue a bat. Last year, their free agent pursuits ended up being a little quixotic. They reportedly called on Juan Soto before being informed that that was going to be a little too rich for their blood. Also, were in pursuit of Anthony Santander before he chose to take Toronto's 3-year deal. And frankly, that ended up okay for the Royals because Santander had a miserable year for the American League champions. He was mostly hurt. When he was not hurt, he underperformed dramatically. It's kind of the ironic thing about the Royals' pursuit last offseason of they needed a corner bat. They needed a corner outfielder who could hit. They were that piece away. And the players that ended up in the free agent pool were players like Anthony Santander, who was worth -1 win above replacement last year, hit 175 with 6 home runs after he had hit 40 the year before. Tyler O'Neill was another one who was in the free agent pool. He ended up with the Orioles. He had a miserable year and got hurt. So if the Royals had spent on a corner outfield bat in their price range, if we assume that Soto was out of their price range, Michael Conforto's another one. 1 year, $17 million with the Dodgers, didn't make their postseason roster. He was terrible all season long. So it probably ended up being a good thing that the Royals ended up not committing long-term to one of the corner outfield free agent bats in the 2025 class. But now here they are going into 2026, and they're in the same spot. They need a corner outfielder, or they need a bat. Let's start there. They need another source of offense. If you feel good about Vinny Pasquantino's 2025 breakout, obviously you trust Bobby Witt Jr. a good deal. Michael Garcia broke out, made his first All-Star team last year. Salvador Perez is going to keep doing Salvador Perez things, hitting home runs, driving in runs, making a lot of outs, but still producing in his way at the plate. Jack Caglione and Carter Jensen will be expected to produce. To what level remains to be seen. I think that expectations probably tempered a little bit for Jack Caglione, though the ceiling is still there. I don't think we can walk into next season thinking, oh, that's a deadlock for a 250 batting average and 30 home runs. And Jensen will enter next year as the nominal backup catcher, so how many at-bats he gets is certainly up in the air. So that leaves you.
Do you think that Jensen is the legit backup catcher?
No, they're not. They're carrying him and Perez.
I'm just asking because do you think it's worth it for him to start in AAA?
No. I think the 20 games he showed at the end of last season, unless they wanted to manipulate his service time, which I think is a crappy thing to do, and the Royals have proven that they won't do that because they didn't do it with Bobby Witt Jr., then I don't think there's any reason not to. He's the second best catcher in the organization. Go ahead and let him learn behind Salvi and get his at-bats next year. So it leaves you center field and second base and left and or right field as some lineup spots that the Royals need to fill. You saw this from ESPN.com, Spencer. David Schoenfeld suggested a recent World Series, I guess not quite a hero, but an almost hero.
Yeah, Bo Bichette.
So Bo Bichette is going to be a free agent.
He did get tendered today, or tendered an offer, I believe.
You got the qualifying offer? Is that what you mean?
He got, qualifying offer.
So he got the QO. So that would, any team that, if he turns it down, which he's going to, That means the Blue Jays would get a draft pick if he signs somewhere else. I like Bo Bichette a lot. He's led the American League in hits twice. He is not a guy who is going to hit. He's a very Royals kind of hitter to me. Lots of contact, not a lot of walks, doubles power with the occasional home run in there. He has hit over 300 twice in the last 3 seasons. He's got 111 career home runs. This past season, he had 44 doubles in just 139 games. He's a really, really good player.
Can he play second base, though? He can, but...
He did in the playoffs on one leg. That was sort of out of necessity. The question really is, does Bichette want to play second base? Is he willing to move off of shortstop? Because obviously, ain't no vacancy at shortstop. You got the best defensive shortstop in baseball in Bobby Witt Jr. There is no vacancy at shortstop for the Royals. Bichette's going to get a lot of money. Let's be clear. John Sherman has the money to sign Bo Bichette. Like, they can't go nuts and sign everybody, obviously, but they can splurge for a free agent this offseason. They're not going to have to. John Sherman could sign Bo Bichette for, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, whatever it is Bichette's looking for, and he wouldn't have to start a telethon to keep the lights on in his house, right? It wouldn't have to. He wouldn't have to hold a garage sale to cover the proceeds of the Bo Bichette contract. He's got the money. So if the Royals wanted to make a splash, now, I love the player. It's an open question as to how well he would do with a full-time position switch. Sometimes that works. Sometimes you're Jonathan India and you bounce around the diamond and you never find a home and you have the worst year of your career after being acquired by the Royals. I think Bichette's a better player than India, but you get the point. You get what I'm driving at. There are also actual corner outfielders out there for the taking. Kyle Tucker's a very attractive free agent. He's had a great career. Cody Bellinger is out there, a left-handed bat that I think would look good in a corner, coming off of a fine year where he hit 29 home runs, drove in 98 for the Yankees. 5-win player, good defender in the corners, turns 30 next year. You could talk me into that. And again, that's another guy. There's money in the banana stand for Cody Bellinger for sure.
Yeah.
So the flip side, the other potential option for the Royals would be to make a trade, which is what they did last year. They traded from a pitching surplus. They traded Brady Singer for Jonathan India. The Royals may feel as though they have a pitching surplus entering next season. And the name that has bounced around a little bit is Kris Bubic, because he is entering his final year before free agency. And pitching costs more money than offense. It just does. Premium starting pitching costs you more money than premium offense. The Royals may feel that they are more apt to develop another Kris Bubic than they are to develop the kind of offensive player that will for sure help them in 2026, and may look at this as an opportunity to make a move for a bat. I don't know what the match is necessarily, but there are a lot of teams that I think would welcome the opportunity to acquire an arm like Kris Bubic. It could be a strength for strength trade, very similarly to the Singer for India trade in the last offseason. But my belief is the Royals would be better off in 2026 with Kris Bubic in the rotation, even if he doesn't re-sign long-term, even if he's not back for 2027. If the Royals are serious about winning the American League Central, go cut a check. CTC. Go make a free agent splash on the offensive side that serves as a statement of intent in a division where Cleveland's not going to spend. Minnesota's not going to spend. The White Sox are still the White Sox until further notice. Detroit can spend a little bit of money, but Jack Flaherty just opted into $20 million for next year. So that shrinks the pile a little bit that the Tigers are dealing from. I think the Royals have an opportunity to go out and get, if not maybe the marquee bat or bats on the market. That text from 785 suggests Alex Bregman. Bregman's a good player. Again, I think he's a Royals kind of hitter, like, doubles, gap to gap, the occasional home run, not just a pure power guy. But you're not moving Gold Glover Michael Garcia off of third base. I don't think you're doing that.
Yeah. No.
I don't think you're moving Bregman either. That's another one of those. Like, does Bregman want to? Bregman didn't want to move off of third base. That's why it took him so long to sign last year, and why he ultimately ended up with the Red Sox and started that whole drama with Rafael Devers.
Yeah.
So I don't think he wants to move off of third. So I don't think it's an option for Bregman as much as, like, in theory, like if this were a video game, yeah, sure, sign Bregman, plug him in at whatever position you want. But I don't think Bregman's going to have a lot of interest in signing with a team that has an established Gold Glove third baseman who is younger, unless you're going to DH Bregman or play him at first base, and the Royals aren't going to do that either.
No, because they would rather DH Salvador Perez a good bunch.
Well, yeah,
Vinny Pasquantino a good bunch.
Those are Perez, Jensen, and Pasquantino at bats. Those DH at bats. So they're going to be kind of split, I think, those three ways for the duration. So like, again, I like the player. The player's got to want to like the situation. I don't think the situation fits Bregman's eye, because I think he still fancies himself, and he should, because 2 years ago he was the Gold Glove third base.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he's literally 2 years ago, man.
He's a great defender at third base. So he's going to end up somewhere else. I wish you could just plug that kind of a bat in. I think that I think that kind of hitter is still out there. I don't know if the Royals can swim with the Sharks in the Kyle Tucker sweepstakes. Maybe not even with the Bellinger sweepstakes. But here's the thing about that. Even if they don't think they can, they actually can. The money is there. John Sherman's not going to have to start a telethon. Go and make a big free agent splash, because it can have the effect that the signings of Seth Lugo and Michael Wacha did 2 seasons ago, where those weren't like the highest of high dollar signings, but going out and spending in free agency sends a clear message to your clubhouse that it's time to go win. Fires up the clubhouse, fires up the fan base. I think that's the move. And so I would like to see the Royals, instead of trading from strength to try and add to what is their offensive weakness, I would like to see them just go address the offensive weakness and get 25 starts out of Chris Bubich next year. I think there's a version of that team that wins the Central. We'll take a break. We'll come back, finish up this hour, 580 Sports Talk. Wrapping up this 4 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk. We still got one more hour to go on the program, and looking forward to the 5 o'clock hour. We got our 580 Sports Talk headlines first up. And then Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Chiefs, is going to join us. Yes, even on a bye week, we are graced with Mitch's presence. Sponsored by Hy-Vee and Azure Credit Union. We'll get Mitch's thoughts on that loss to the Bills and looking ahead, what is on deck to try and fix and tidy up for the Chiefs as they enter the second half of their schedule? And we'll play some either or over under as well. Remember, you can text the program. We want to hear from you. 785-272-9429 is the text line number. You can also hop in the live chat on our YouTube stream. Name of the channel is 580 Sports Talk. One more hour of the show to come. It's right after the news on 580 WIBW. Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk, hour number 3 on this Thursday evening. So glad you're with us here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis here with you for one more hour. We'll have some overtime between 6 and 6:30 as well. We'll re-rack our chat with Rick Peterson from earlier today, as well as our conversation, in case you missed it yesterday, with Ryan Gilbert at GoPowerCat.com. So a double dose of conversations of the day on overtime between 6 and 6:30 before we hand things off to Westwood One for their coverage of Thursday night football, the National Football League, Week 10, opening tonight with the Raiders and the Broncos. 6:30 pregame here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. Still lots to come here in this final hour of the show. Got a full slate of headlines to get to. Going to play a little either or over under. Going to also chat with the great Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Chiefs, will join us for his weekly conversation with us at 5:25 here. So about 18 minutes from now, Mitch will join us. We'll talk to the voice of the Chiefs following their loss to the Bills on Sunday and looking ahead to what the Chiefs have to get right on their bye week. Mitch Holthus joining us here in about 18 minutes or so. But we begin with headlines, and we began with the tragic news from the National Football League earlier today. A Dallas Cowboys defensive end Marshawn Kneeland died by suicide in Texas on Thursday, according to local law enforcement. He was just 24 years old. Late Wednesday night, Frisco police received a call from the Texas Department of Safety asking for their help finding a vehicle they had been pursuing that had entered the city. Per the police's statement, state troopers found the crash video, but Kneeland was not inside. While officers looked for him, police said that they learned that Kneeland had earlier that evening expressed suicidal ideations. Law enforcement said they found Kneeland a little after 1:30 a.m. this morning and believe that he died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Kneeland's agent, Jonathan Persley, released the following statement. I am shattered to confirm that my client and dearest friend, Marshawn Kneeland, passed away last night. I watched him fight his way from a hopeful kid at Western Michigan with a dream to being a respected professional for the Dallas Cowboys. Marshawn poured his heart into every snap, every practice, and every moment on the field. To lose someone with his talent, spirit, and goodness is a pain I can hardly put into words. My heart aches for his family, his teammates, and everyone who loved him, and I hope they feel the support of the entire football community during this unimaginable time. I ask that you please give his loved ones the privacy and compassion they need as they grieve this tremendous loss. Kneeland's family issued a statement to the Dallas Morning News that read in part, we are devastated by this tremendous loss and are still processing the depth of our grief. As Marshawn was making his mark on the football field with the Dallas Cowboys, he held an even more special place off the field as a devoted son, brother, uncle, cousin, nephew, grandson, and friend. He was kind, determined, humble, and full of love. His light shone brightly in every life he touched, and his spirit will continue to live on through the countless lives he inspired. Kneeland was the 56th overall pick out of Western Michigan in the 2024 NFL Draft. He was in the middle of his second season as a pro. On Monday night against the Arizona Cardinals, he recovered a blocked punt in the end zone for his first career touchdown. The final cause of death will be officially determined later by the Collin County Medical Examiner's Office. There is obviously nothing more to add to this story other than to also send our condolences to the Kneeland family, the Dallas Cowboys organization, everybody who knew and loved Marshawn Kneeland, and to also pass along that the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is a hotline for people in crisis or for those looking to help someone else. To speak with a trained listener, call or text 988 or visit 988lifeline.org. The crisis text line is also a texting service for emotional crisis support. To speak with a trained listener, text HELLO to 741-741. It is free, available 24/7, and confidential. Spencer, next headline.
Yes, first headline for me. Gonna stay local-ish to the Kansas women's basketball program. Jeff Mittie announced today that they are adding an international talent to their 2025-2026 roster as Ivona Sekic from Slovenia has signed with Slovenia has signed with the Wildcats, and she will join the team in mid-December. Could be available for their conference opener December 20th, I believe, against TCU. The 6'4" center from Slovenia.
Don't even try that town name. I can't get it.
I got it in Google earlier, and it was pretty. I got it from Google earlier, but I can't remember it now. She's played in a lot of the FIBA under 20, under 18 Euro basket leagues in the last couple of seasons. She in the 2025 U18 women's Euro basket, she saw action in 7 games, averaging 5.7 points, 6.9 rebounds, and 1.1 assists. She ranked 17th in the event for rebounds per game. Against Greece, she tallied 13 points, 9 boards, and 19 minutes of action.
So obviously the K-State women were short a post because Kennedy Taylor out of Shawnee Mission Northwest didn't get her waiver for her last season of eligibility, which was something that was made official, Tuesday or Monday or Tuesday was when we got that press release from K-State Sports that made it official. She was looking for a waiver for an extra year, and she didn't get it. And the NCAA, as they are wont to do on these sorts of scenarios, dragged their feet to the point where K-State started their season without knowing if they were going to have a veteran center who could played a lot for them last year and could have potentially been their starting center this year, would not be eligible. So this is a pretty quick rebound by Mitty and his staff to be able to find a player with some international experience. Obviously, they're no stranger, and K-State basketball as a whole, no strangers to adding players from Europe this offseason with international experience, and to add a player who can potentially help them in the second half of the season. Of course, they might have liked to have had that player for a rugged non-conference schedule, but of course, the NCAA is kind of to blame for that, dragging their feet on the Kennedy Taylor ruling. So once again, shame on the NCAA. That's nothing new, and good for K-State to be able to fill that vacancy as quickly as they did.
Yeah, so they opened conference play December 20th at 4 p.m. against TCU in Texas. So that's the 20th of December, so she could be ready if it's mid-December.
Next headline, you alluded to this. We were talking some baseball hot stove. The deadline to tender the qualifying offer in Major League Baseball was today. Players that have reached free agency with a certain amount of tenure can be offered the qualifying offer, which is a 1-year, $22.025 million contract. Most players who expect to get long-term deals or make more money than that in their contract will turn the qualifying offer down. These players have until November 18th to accept or reject the 1-year deal. There were 13 players who were tendered the qualifying offer today, including Cubs outfielder Kyle Tucker, Phillies designated hitter Kyle Schwarber, the aforementioned Bo Bichette, shortstop of the Blue Jays, Astros left-hander Framber Valdez, Padres right-handed pitcher Dylan Cease, Philadelphia lefty Ranger Suarez, Mets closer Edwin Diaz, Tigers second baseman Gleyber Torres, Brewers right-hander Brandon Woodruff, Diamondbacks right-handed starter Zach Gallen, Cubs lefty Shota Imanaga, Padres right-handed pitcher Michael King, and Yankee outfielder Trent Grisham. Qualifying offer allows teams to reap draft pick compensation for free agents who sign with new teams. So teams that sign these players have to pay penalties via draft pick. So if you're a tax-paying team, if you're above the competitive balance tax payroll threshold, you can sign any of those players, but you forfeit your second-round pick and your fifth-round pick and $1 million in international bonus pool money, which is not nothing. Revenue-sharing recipients, and I think the Royals qualify as a revenue-sharing recipient. Let me look and make sure if that is true. If the Royals are a revenue sharing recipient, they are. So the Royals are a revenue sharing recipient. So they could sign one of these players and they would lose their third highest draft choice, whatever that would be. So maybe their third round pick. The remaining teams that don't spend too much, but also aren't so poor relatively that they receive revenue sharing would lose their second round pick. The Brewers, Tigers, and Diamondbacks are revenue sharing teams. So if their players sign elsewhere, they would receive a draft pick directly after the first round. Chicago and Houston would get a pick following the competitive balance round B in the draft. There will not be a test on this later. Just know that the cost to sign one of these players away from their teams is generally prohibitive, and teams will use those penalties as an excuse not to sign these players. So many times these players will sit on the free agent market for longer than they might otherwise. For teams who might like to bring these players back, this is still a procedural thing that you do just in case you out on that player's services. You would not lose them for nothing. You would get a draft pick or so back in return. So something to consider. And all 13 of these players, again, the Royals could afford them. Do they want to forfeit a third-round draft pick to sign? Would you trade a third-round draft pick for Bo Bichette? I would.
Yeah.
I would. I'd do that.
I'd
trade a third-round pick for any of these guys. Any one of those 13. I would happily forfeit a third-round draft pick to have the services of any of those players on the Kansas City Royals in 2025. Give me another headline, Spencer.
Where do you want to go with this? Where are we heading?
Let's do the Football Hall of Fame.
All right, that's where I was heading as well. 6-time Super Bowl winning owner Robert Kraft and Bud Adams, who founded the Houston Oilers and was a key part of the formation of the AFL, are among the 9 contributors who advanced to the semifinal stage for the Pro Football Hall of Fame's class of 2026. The Blue Ribbon Committee reduced the candidates from the initial list of 21 in a voting release Thursday. The committee will meet next Tuesday, select one finalist who will advance. I'm trying to find the rest of the list here. The semifinalists also include Ralph Hay, who owned the Canton Bulldogs from 1918 to 1922 and hosted the meeting that led to the formation of the NFL.
So when they say he hosted it, did he was it at his house? Did he provide the snacks?
I would assume.
Was he responsible for getting the party sub together? Like, what was hosted the meeting? Anyway, continue.
I would assume he was the finalist for the contributor group last year, but didn't get enough votes for induction. Obviously, we mentioned Kraft and Adams. Among the other candidates are Art Rooney Jr., a member of the family that owns the Steelers, former league executive Buddy Young, who was the first black executive in any major U.S. sports league when he was hired in 1964. Rune Arledge, the ABC executive who started and produced the first Monday Night Football games that helped broaden the NFL's popularity in the 1970s. Longtime team executive Frank Bucko Kilroy.
Bucko Kilroy is a Hall of Fame name. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Right. That name rocks.
And Seymour
Siwoff. I think it's Siwoff.
Former owner and president of the Elias Sports Bureau, which I believe is like a statistics bureau.
Yeah, it's the Statistics Bureau. Clark Shaughnessy, also a semifinalist as well. The father of the T formation during his long career. They include a stint as an advisor to George Halas with the Bears. So fascinating list. Again, it's one of those where you can certainly make a case that every one of those people belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Bob Kraft wants this. So I think it's the only thing in his life that he wants. Like, this is the thing. Like, Robert Kraft could almost care less if he wins another Super Bowl. He wants in the Hall of Fame so bad.
What if they pick him and Bill Belichick at the same time?
And I'll tell you what, I don't know what the temperature would be for induction day, but it would be chilly up on that stage.
What if we wait a couple more years and then Tom Brady is eligible and all three go at the same time?
Put them all in at once.
And then
the Patriots can play in the Hall of
Fame game. And it's as easy as that. But be an interesting ceremony. But if it's only the 3 of them that go in that year.
Just all the side eye between that. No, that would be hysterical. They put Kraft in and we're putting Belichick in this year too. You don't even get the day to yourself. You and Bill on the same. Oh, that would.
And Tom.
I'm rooting for that now. I'm rooting for Belichick and Kraft to get in this year. Do it. Do it. NFL Hall of or Pro Football Hall of Fame voting committee. Let's do one more headline here. I can't believe you left me this headline, Spencer. Last night on Frozen Pond, Washington Capitals.
There was another
Alex
headline
Ovechkin scored his 900th career goal, becoming the first NHL player to get to 900 goals. He put
just
it on.
Started a club. He started a club. He's the greatest goal scorer of all time, and he started a new club.
The 900 club. I think it's great that he's still kicking and still scoring goals. I want to talk about Jordan Binnington trying to steal the puck.
Yeah, that's messed up, man.
So Jordan Binnington is a bum. I want to start there.
Well, you know what? You know what the funniest part about all of this is? The Caps scored a couple more goals, and they took him out of the game.
Yeah, they yanked
because
him.
they blew him out.
Because he's a bum.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he's always been kind of a bum. Like, he threw a water bottle at Nazem Kadri during a post-game press conference when the Avs drummed the Blues out of the playoffs on their way to the Cup in 2022. He's I don't have anything nice to say about Jordan Binnington, the person. He's a bit of a you-know-what disturber. And, he put the puck from the 900th goal in his hockey pants. And he said afterward, oh, I was going to give it to him. No, you weren't. That is the classic excuse. Somebody you catches you taking someone that belongs to someone else, and like you're an 8-year-old says, well, I was going to give it to him. Like, somebody in my wife's classroom would use that excuse. Why are you taking the candy off of Jimmy's desk? Well, I was just doing that so I could then give it to them. You are lying. You're a liar, Jordan Binnington. You're a liar and a bum. You know who's not a bum? Alex Ovechkin, greatest goal scorer of all time. 900 goals. His own club. I don't think there are going to be any other members. I think as long as it took somebody to run down Gretzky, I don't think that he's going to have a lot of company in there in the 900 goal club anytime soon.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be the 900 goal club, and
I don't know if he's going to get to a thou wow.
No, he's very slowed down production, but he's a guy that he could score like 12 goals in 20 games. Because of scoring that last night and getting that pony off his back.
Sure.
Because that was the thing, was like he got the 895, right?
Uh-huh.
And then it was like, he's got to get 900, right? Like, that's 5 away. And I think he had this is the second goal of the season, I think, or third goal of the season. So he finally got there. But yeah, I think when it's all said and done, I think he's just going to say at the end of the year, like, hey, by the way, that was my last game.
You don't think he'll do the farewell tour?
No, I think he's too annoyed with everything that happened last year.
Fair enough.
Like, he just wanted to play hockey, and they stopped the game for 30 minutes. Multiple games, by the way.
That'll do it for headlines. Mitch Holthus, voice of the Chiefs, joins us next here on 580 Sports Talk. It's 526 on 580 Sports Talk. We are pleased to be joined once again on the program by the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, who joins us throughout the season here on 580 Sports Talk. His appearances are brought to us by Hy-Vee, your official tailgate headquarters for Kansas City Chiefs football, and by Azura Credit Union, where you can contact Crystal Rippey or Naseem Khan about the credit union advantage for your next home loan. Mitch, the Chiefs suffered another regular season loss to the Buffalo Bills, and we'll get into the meat and potatoes of the game, but it feels like Chiefs versus Bills, whether it's the regular season or the playoffs, seems to always deliver the goods. I can't remember a bad game between the two teams. What is it about these two teams that it seems to bring the best out of each other and really be the best of what the NFL has to offer?
Yeah, the only bad game would have been 21, which the game was stopped because of lightning. And I remember we had Salvi Perez in the booth with us, and they blew us out 38-21. So it was a better way to sit there getting your rear end beat, but have Salvi in there and just, chop it up. But no, this is two very well-run organizations and two well-coached teams and the two quarterbacks. If you listen to my game day setup, my monologue, if you will, when on Sunday when I gave it, I said, these two quarterbacks are actually good for America. And the fact that Patrick Mahomes stayed in the piney woods of Texas, in Tyler, could have gone to bigger cities, bigger schools. Yeah, his dad played MLB, but Pat played three sports, played them well. Could have been a Division I point guard. Obviously was drafted to play MLB, but Texas Tech really didn't recruit him all that much, and they didn't even know what they were getting when they got him. And look what he's turned into. But Josh Allen grew up on a 3,000-acre cotton ranch in Fireball, California, small school. He was involved in agriculture. He didn't go to the big city, and his grandpa said, you bloom where you're planted. And he bloomed into the fact that he became this three-star athlete in an era where we're going to specialize starting in fourth grade. The fact that Josh Allen became a deal, and Wyoming barely recruited him, and they didn't know what they were getting when they got him. So the fact that those two quarterbacks came from the background that they did, and they've formed their life and shaped their life as an athlete, as a person, as they have, I think is actually great for all of sport. And it sets up what you alluded to in the fact that they're always classics, seemingly, when the two get together.
The Chiefs fall by a touchdown. They had the ball about 40 yards from the end zone as time expires. A couple of deep throws fell short and were not caught, and that was the end of the ball game. But after the game, it strikes me again that this Chiefs team doesn't feel like they're going to suffer from a crisis of confidence anytime soon. They're disappointed to lose, obviously, but not shaken by the loss so much. Why do you think that this team has been able to maintain, even in the face of a 5-4 start, which record-wise is not what anybody had hoped for in their first half of the season? Why has this group been able to maintain the level of confidence that they've maintained to this point?
Think of all they've been through. We have many times as fans a recency feel to everything. And the bye week is especially good to just back up and think of what this team has endured. And the fact that a lot of them were on the team in 21, as I alluded to, they were 5-4 that year. They still got to the AFC Championship game. 9-6 in 2023, won the Super Bowl. Hardest path to ever win a Super Bowl, based on DVOA, when they had to go to Buffalo and to Baltimore and beat San Francisco. Winning the 9 straight AFC West titles, people think it's been easy. It's not. They had to beat 2 12-4 teams to do that. So the fact that they played 6 years in 5, they played 21 playoff games with Patrick Mahomes as the QB1, 21, an entire season and a fourth. These guys have been through a lot. And even the younger guys, the 2022 class might be the best answer to you, because here they are in their fourth year of professional football, and they've gone through everything. And yet they're so mature, physically, mentally, and emotionally, that they're like, nothing will rattle them. You just explained it very well. But that's because of all the experience they have. And it's not an overconfidence, but it's also not gloom and doom and our season's over because we just lost to the Buffalo Bills.
We're joined by Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, presented by Hy-Vee and Azura Credit Union here on 580 Sports Talk. What do you believe the loss to the Bills taught the Chiefs about themselves as they enter the bye week?
I think that's on both sides of the ball. Offensively, and I'm doing a study during this bye week that I'm not going to tip my hand on it. I'm going to jump into it next week. It'll be the thesis going into the Denver game. So I'm not going to completely tell you everything I'm doing yet, but it is to understand that there are certain down and distance, certain times of the game that have more of an urgency than it looks like to the common fan. It has been the doom so far of the Chiefs in 3 of the 4 games, really 4 of the 4, but 3 of the 4 for sure, that has led to the losses. Defensively, I think it's where Spags, they're trying to get a feel for an understanding of what groups do I play in, and I think Buffalo illuminated this, and the Chargers did to some extent as well, and that was, what group should I have on the field against this specific opponent in this down and distance where I don't get caught in a mismatch? Meaning Buffalo had an awesome scheme. Their scheme was such that they wanted to get the Chiefs in base defense and attack the linebackers in coverage from 8 to 12 yards with the tight ends. The Buffalo tight ends ended up with 150 yards receiving in this game. Kincaid was unreal. They got him caught against Tranquil. And so that requires study now going into an opponent specific and down a distance of who should be on the field in what sub package at what time. And that was a big lesson learned, I think, in the Buffalo game.
We're joined by Mitch Holthus, voice of the Chiefs here on 580 Sports Talk. And Mitch, how big was it to have Mike Pennell back for that game when it comes to just his presence in the defensive line room?
Well, it's an excellent point because people think James Cook ran all over him. He didn't. I mean, he had over 100 yards rushing, but he had 27 carries. His yards per carry was 4.2 a carry, and he was averaging 6.0 a carry. His numbers are actually better than Jonathan Taylor's in many rushing categories. And the Chiefs did okay against him. That wasn't what lost the game. And Pennell was a big part of that. Pennell was able to rotate in, 2-gap player, and the Chiefs didn't get gashed in the run game in that contest. It was basically what I went back to, and the fact that Josh Allen only had 3 incompletions. They ate the tight ends, set the whole tone for the game. And then Josh was able to hit the third level on some plays, off play action, and the Chiefs didn't really get much of a pass rush on him. But it wasn't getting mauled in the run game by James Cook, and a lot of that was due to Mike Pennell being back.
Flipping back to the offensive line, and wasn't a great game for them, but fortunately some guys go out to injuries. It's a great time for a bye, and it was reported earlier in the week, and I believe it was confirmed that Josh Simmons is back. So take this break and you get ready for the final stretch of the season, and if Juwan Taylor's unable to go, you have a guy that can step in Jalen Moore, but this could be a good reset for the offensive line, right?
Yeah, no question. And it needs to be. There's no, that'd be nice to have that happen. It has to happen. If you look at this gauntlet coming up that we've got, and that'll be the Minute with Mitch I'm going to do during the Indianapolis week, is that group of offensive linemen they've got. But Denver's really good. Look what Buffalo did. I told you guys last week about the offensive line of Buffalo. Well, you're facing 4 or 5 of the top offensive lines in the league in this stretch, including Dallas. Well, the Chiefs need to get back to that level, which they have been for a good part of the season. And during the stretch when Patrick Mahomes was the best quarterback in the league, after week 4 up and through week 8, the offensive line was humming. It was happening. And that was without Josh Simmons. So now if you get Josh Simmons back and you try to get Trey Smith a little more healthy with that back that's flaring up, give him some time, then let's go. Get it ready. Because we just don't talk about football at any level enough, and we don't talk about the offensive line. So your question's a very good one. But yes, it's a chance to retool and recalibrate.
Couple more questions for Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Chiefs, joining us here on 580 Sports Talk, a courtesy of our friends at Hy-Vee and Azura Credit Union. We have seen this Chiefs offense really since the second half of Week 3 against the Giants hit the gas and look like it has a peak form that is among the very best offenses in the National Football League. What do they look to as an opportunity to fine tune, to maybe get right, to maybe get guys more involved? How do you think that they are approaching the bye to make sure that they hit the second half and continue to play at the level, maybe even find a fifth or a sixth gear on offense as they move forward?
Well, it kind of starts with the protection, but I think, too, to understand now with all the weaponry there, how do you get back to what weeks 4 through 8 were like? And really, the Buffalo game was foiled for the Chiefs offense by those perimeter defenders. I hate it when I'm right, but I told you guys last Thursday night that the offensive line of Buffalo that's a menace. And then the speed rushers and the perimeter length and athleticism of the outside rushers. Joey Bosa had an awesome game. So did Rousseau. Epinesa wasn't far behind, and then before he got hurt, Michael Hoyt, the former Ram, was really good. So it's a matter of protecting, a matter of how do you attack a team with all the weapons that you've got. It starts with Denver, who's been phenomenal on defense, and they playing tonight here in a little bit, about an hour and a half. But when you look at their stats, I've glanced ahead at those guys, that it starts with protection. Two, then how do you become not just counterattacking, but how do you attack the attack? And that's counterattack. But I mean, how do you take the fight to an opponent defense and put them on roller skates? The Chiefs never really did that. They had the chance. It goes back. It's next week. They had the chance to jump ahead 14-7, just like they did in the Charger game, just like they did in the Jacksonville game. But I've done a little more deeper dive into it. I'm still not done yet. But critical times when they need to look at seizing it as if it's the last 2 minutes of a game. And so I think that's the mentality that the offense needs to have going into these, starting with next week. There's no other week. Next week's the week.
You mentioned it just right there, kind of alluded to it. The idea of urgency, just broadly speaking, The idea of urgency for this team. And they find themselves even in a position where they maintain their confidence, they maintain their belief within the locker room. But the facts are the facts. They're 2 games back at Denver. They're outside of the playoff places in the AFC. There is an urgency in the second half of this season that we haven't really seen in the second half of a lot of Chiefs seasons. That maybe not at the same level in recent years. So how much of the challenge is how they deal with that level of regular season urgency at this stage where that's relatively new? You really have to go back to, was it 21 where they started 3-4 to find the last time where They felt like they really needed to dig in the regular season like this?
Well, and they trailed, I don't know what they trailed. I didn't look it up. In 2016, that was the year they beat the Raiders on a Thursday night to win the division. The Raiders were good that year, actually. But that would be another one that comes to mind. But I think that, and I think the urgency is there, and to focus in on the division. But the tension or the realm, I'm trying to find the right word, has always been there to try to get the 1 seed. Now, what's different about this year is you're 2 games behind, as you alluded to, with 8 games to go, against a Bronco team that has taken your place of winning all these close games. Last year was the Chiefs being lucky. This year it's the Broncos being gritty. I've chuckled at that.
I noticed that.
You notice that? It's a gritty team. You just can't count them out. Chiefs do it. Oh, my God. It's like, wow, they can't do that all the time. You can't win all those close games. Like, what? Okay, anyway. But the point is, there's been an urgency to this team for the 1 seed. Even last year, just grinding. They've got to get to the 1 seed, get the 3-peat, 1 seed, 3-peat. And it's put an emphasis on each week. But this year, the fact that you're chasing the division makes the sense of urgency, I don't want to say even more so, but maybe earlier. And so I think that's probably your point. It's a very good one, that it's just different. It's got a different vibe. Not that they haven't faced tension before, but they're just facing an earlier, different kind of tension this season.
Mitch Holthus is the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, and he joins us every week here on 580 Sports Talk, thanks to Hy-Vee, your official tailgate headquarters for Kansas City Chiefs football, and Azure Credit Union, where you can contact Crystal Rippey or Naseem Khan about the credit union advantage for your next home loan. Mitch, I hope you enjoy the bye week and enjoy your Sunday, and we will talk to you next week ahead of that Broncos matchup.
I shall. Trying to help my dad, but right now, as soon as I hang up from you, I'm going to speak to the Smith Center football team.
Hey, now.
They've got a gigantic, biggest game on the planet tomorrow night against the TMP Monarchs of the Plains in a mid-continent rematch. 1A's loaded. If you've looked at 1A, it's absolutely loaded on both sides. It's going to be fun.
We've got 1A on Friday night. We got Rossville and Jeff County North here on 580 WIBW, in fact.
I'm telling you, loaded.
Loaded.
Centraea's in there. Jackson Heights good. It's loaded. Opie's good.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Colgan's good. It's on, baby. It's
Jackson
on.
Heights Opie this week as well. Yeah, it's a tough bracket. Thanks for your time as always, Mitch.
All right, man. We'll see. Riverside, Centraea.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Thank you, Mitch. That is Mitch Holthus. We could have probably kept him for another 25 minutes talking about high school football. With Mitch. We really could have, but we have to let him go. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll play a little either or over under when we return here on 580 Sports Talk. .545 on 580 Sports Talk. We play a little game called Either Or Over Under every Thursday here on the program. So I got an either or for you. And I'm going to look for some audience participation in this one because you may not really remember one of the players I'm going to give you. He might just be a name and some stats and some highlights to you. But I was I was on social media earlier today. By the way, quick aside, if you would like to follow us on social media, and maybe you follow us on X at 580 Sports Talk, and you're wondering, hey, I don't see any posts on X by 580 Sports Talk. Yeah, man, we got our account suspended. We don't know why, but our account got suspended. So we're not on X right now. Elon finally got me. All that mess I've been talking behind his back, he finally got me. No, I don't think that's what it is. But I genuinely have no idea. Brendan told me earlier today he found out it was suspended. So we're in the appeal process right now to get our X account back. But in the meantime, you can find us on Blue Sky 580 Sports Talk if you'd like. Anyway, that was just a quick aside. So I was on social media earlier today, and I
did not know that.
Well, now you know. I was on social media earlier today, and there was a podcast, a couple of podcasters I like to listen to, and they were asking the question, which NFL franchise has had the coolest running backs? And that's a really fun question to kind of think about, like, because great running backs are often like the coolest players. And one of the nominations was the Chiefs. In my lifetime, the Chiefs have had a lot of really cool running backs. I don't know that they have a cool one right now. Like, Isaiah Pacheco's fine. Like, I wouldn't call him cool. But, like, in my lifetime, okay, Christian Okoye, the Nigerian Nightmare, how cool is that nickname? Marcus Allen, Hall of Famer.
Are we talking about, like, their performance on the field or just, like, the aesthetic of them?
Both. I mean, you got to be great and look good to be, like, cool, right? You can't look good and not play good and be cool.
See, nothing will ever beat like 2007, 2008, 2009, Clinton Portis, Liddell Betts, Rock Cartwright, Mike Sellers pulling out in front of, and Clinton Portis grabbing between the 4 and the 5 on the back of Mike Sellers' jersey as Mike Sellers escorts him to the end zone.
Clinton Portis, absolutely a cool running back. I don't know how many other cool running backs.
He literally would come out and play a character.
Yeah, I remember Coach Janky Spanky and all those guys. I remember.
Yeah,
I remember fondly. Clinton Portis, he started in Denver, so I was around that. And yeah, I love Clinton Portis. I got nice things to say about Clinton Portis. But anyway,
I'm glad his life is back on track after.
Anyway, back to the Chiefs. The Chiefs had cool running backs like my whole life. Okoye, Allen, Larry Johnson getting 350 carries a game. But the two coolest by far, and I'm going to make you take one of these for your own team. You can have one or the other. And I'm not saying like their whole career. I'm saying at their peak, if you could have one or the other, Priest Holmes or Jamal Charles. I'm making you all do. I know you're listening out there, Chiefs fans. 785-272-9429 is the text line, or you can get at me in the YouTube chat. Who would you rather have had? Peak value. You can only have one. Jamal or Priest?
Oh, I think I'm taking Jamal only because when I used to play Madden, man, I traded for Jamal Charles. I got him on my team. I got him on the Washingtons back in the day. Oh my God, I loved it.
So you talk about like an all-time great video game player because he had like the 98 speed, right? That's the thing. That's why I would almost lean like Priest Holmes, the fantasy football monster. Like if they opened a fantasy football Hall of Fame, Priest Holmes first ballot. He had those 3 years with the Chiefs where he led the league in rushing in 2001 and then led the league in touchdowns in 2002 and 2003. He had 27 rushing touchdowns in 2003. First team All-Pro all 3 of those years. And the production slipped, and he got hurt. And it's the life cycle of a running back. But for those 3 years, Priest Holmes was a fantasy football god. And then Jamal Charles, on the flip side, was like the video game GOAT because he was averaging 5.5 yards per carry in his career. 5.5 yards per carry. And that even includes the injury-riddled late career stage and the year he played with the Broncos in 2017 that everybody involved would like to forget. Jamal Charles, I think I would take I think I would say Charles, just so explosive, but Holmes was so dependable. There's not a wrong answer is the fun part. Let's see. We got Mark B says Jamal. Vance says Jamal. Joshua, welcome to the chat, Jamal. He says Jamal. Jones in chat. Joshua says Jamal. We got a text from 785 says Jamal. We got another one from 785 that says Priest by a mile. And Paul extolling the virtues of both of them because you really can. Priest was automatic on goal to go, just left over the line. Jamal had that 4-2 speed before everybody else did. They were both awesome play. I don't think there's a wrong answer. I really don't. Gun to my head, I think here's the thing. Priest was going to score you a bunch of touchdowns. But if I put it in Jamal Charles' hands, any play could be a touchdown. Wherever I was on the field, if I put it in his hands, anything could be a touchdown. So my lean is Jamal, but that's a hard one. I wanted to give you a gut wrencher to pick from here at the end of this Thursday. You got either or over under today?
Either or. Wayne Gretzky or Alex Ovechkin.
Gretz, the playmaker, is the pick. I think that when you consider that nobody has more points than he has assists in NHL history, I think that's the lean.
How about this? Hold on, let me rephrase that. Alex Ovechkin or Sidney Crosby, because they're both going facing off tonight ESPN Plus.
Like, do you want goal scoring and physicality, or
and durability?
Or do you want the playmaker, the guy who's going to make everyone around him better, which Crosby probably did at a higher level than Ovi.
But was hurt a lot.
Was hurt, dealt with the concussions. That's another hard one. See, I'm a little biased because I think Crosby's going to end up on the Colorado Avalanche this season. I really think they're going to make a trade for him. I've been thinking that for 3 years, and I've been wrong.
I'm kind of sad about that because the Caps and the Penguins play at the end of the year every year.
You want to see one more matchup between those guys?
Yeah, and I think that game's nationally televised already. Like, I think that it was already announced as the end of the season national.
I'll take your guy. Goals win games, and he get his nose dirty in a way Crosby never did.
Shoot, he got hurt last year, came back in a crazy amount of time, and still broke the record in a crazy amount of time before the season ended.
Yeah, I'll go with your guy. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back with a final word here on 580 Sports Talk. Time for a final word on 580 Sports Talk. Spencer Dupuis, what you got?
Yeah, final word for me tonight. I didn't really come in having one, to be honest. There's just not a lot of sports, nothing in our viewing areas going on tonight, really.
This is true.
So not a lot to talk about that we haven't talked about yesterday, but I will say every goal that Alex Ovechkin scores is crazy, but I don't know if you saw the goal he scored last night.
I did not.
It was like an awkward backhand that he just threw at the goal and it went in.
You don't score 900 of them without scoring a few funky ones.
That's true. He's had quite a few.
Yeah, 900 of them to be precise. The only one to ever get there. Final word for me today. I really want to see more Xavier Worthy in the Chiefs offense because I think he's got the kind of speed and dynamism in the open field that can be useful and add to the explosiveness of the Chiefs offense. I understand the targets right now are going to Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce, and they should, the primary targets, but they got to get more touches for Xavier Worthy than just 4 per game, right? Because that's about what he's averaged the last 3 weeks since Rashee Rice came back from suspension. I think Worthy's too good a player to only touch the ball 4 times a game. And I think that's one thing the Chiefs have to figure out on their bye week. We got some overtime next, followed by Thursday Night Football. We're back tomorrow from 3 until 6. For Spencer, I'm Dan. This was 580 Sports Talk. Good night.